तो हम तो मोदी के अगेंस्ट हैं।
Hi everyone, we have an extremely special guest today, the hero that India has waited to welcome for a very long time. Vishal Jood in Australia stood up for his motherland, stood up for India. He was jailed for his heroic act, and now he's finally here to tell his tale. So welcome Vishal, and welcome Mr. Amarendra Singh, who is his lawyer, who made sure that Vishal could come back home safely. Hi Vishal, how do you feel coming home to a hero's welcome?
I'm feeling very good, because after more than six months, I came back to my country, and all the people of my country and everyone, they support me. So I'm feeling very happy.
Great. We are happy to have you back, Vishal, and we are happy that Indians like you make sure that our pride is preserved even outside our borders. So thank you. I'll come back to you. But before we come to you, Mr. Singh, I would like to talk to you about the incident that started it all. So could you tell us what really happened? Because all we have is media reports. So we would like to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yes, what had happened was that in December 2020, a farmers' rally was organized in a suburb of Sydney called Quakers Hill. That rally was advertised on social media, and Vishal saw that post. Vishal himself is a son of a farmer, as are his friends. So he and his friends decided to go to the rally. When they got to the rally, they heard people chanting slogans, and Vishal and his friends also started chanting slogans such as Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, and Hindustan Zindabad. A section of the crowd took umbrage at those words and asked Vishal and his friends to stop saying those words. What Vishal did is he had an Indian flag with him, so he stood up on a bench and he unfurled the flag. That further enraged this mob, and Vishal started leaving with his friends, but they wouldn't let him leave. They grabbed him, and there was a large group of them that surrounded him. His friend was with him, Avish. Part of the group grabbed Avish and took him away to another section of the park near some trees. They hit Avish, they punched him, kicked him, hit him with sticks. Meanwhile, another part of the group still had hold of Vishal. Vishal tried to run away, but there were 10 or 15 of them holding him, surrounding him. They were shouting slogans such as Modi Murdabad, Modi Kutta, Raj Karega Khalsa. Then they bashed Vishal. They hit him, they punched him, they kicked him. But Vishal managed to free himself, and he ran off. So that was the Quakers Hill incident.
Right. What were the original charges that were pressed on the basis of Quakers incident? And we are also told that there are two other incidents that happened following the Quakers incident. Could you elaborate on these two, please?
There have been no charges as to the Quakers Hill incident against anyone. We've provided statements from Vishal, Avish, and another young man who was present there, signed statements. In fact, two of them attended police stations and provided statements. We provided videos. We provided 5 videos showing clearly at least 6 of the assailants. Police have not yet laid charges on anyone as to that incident. After that incident, Vishal became quite famous. Videos were circulated of him being beaten up by this mob. People started sending him messages on social media, threatening him, swearing at him, and so forth. And he became well known, and he's also known by the name of Rahul Jood. Then a number of incidents happened, following which Vishal was arrested. He was arrested and he was charged with 11 offenses arising out of 4 separate incidents. Then I got involved with my solicitors, Opal Legal, and we negotiated with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which prosecuted the matter, as to the charges and the facts. Vishal was in somewhat of a weak position because he was in custody. If the matter was not resolved, he could have spent years in jail awaiting a trial. Ultimately, Vishal agreed to plead guilty to 3 charges arising out of 2 separate incidents. We then agreed on the facts that comprised those allegations, and Vishal was put before the court as to those charges. Now, the 2 incidents were as follows. There was one incident which was a fight between Vishal, his friends, and another chap, where the other person was hit. For that, Vishal was charged with a count of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. The other incident happened on the 14th of February, 2021. Now, on that date, a number of patriotic Indians organized a Tiranga rally. And that was a family affair where families with children went in their cars with Indian flags along a planned route along certain roads on Sydney. Now, Vishal was one of the persons in that rally, and then he returned from that rally. In the meantime, some half a dozen of people were left from that rally, and they had assembled at a park in a suburb in Parramatta in Sydney. And they were having some refreshments and just winding down. Suddenly, they observed a large group of males, about 100 of them, marching towards them, again shouting similar slogans, Modi Murdabad, Raj Karega Khalsa, etc. And they accosted this small group, and there were some men and some women, and they started asking questions aggressively, asking how many cars were they, what are the registration numbers, there are only 6 cars here, where are the others, the numbers of the other cars, where are those boys, where's Rahul Jood, etc., etc. One of the persons in the group rang the police, and luckily the police turned up very shortly thereafter and dispersed everyone. Now, the next thing that happened was that There's a nearby suburb of Harris Park next to Parramatta. And Vishal was there with his friends after the rally near a coffee shop. And the scene there was that there were again about 100 odd people marching along the street. We don't know whether it's the same group or a different group or a mixture of different groups. And similar things were being shouted, Modi Kutta, Raj Karega Khalsa, etc. And some of the persons in that group were driving around the street, circling the street, 4 cars in particular, and they were looking out the window. And in the meantime, there were others walking along the street with weapons in their hands, with baseball bats, with golf clubs, and you should have a photo there of one incident, one screenshot with that view. Now, you might wonder in a suburban street in Sydney why people are carrying golf clubs. I mean, it's not a golf course. So that's the background against which this incident happened. Suddenly, 3 or 4 people came out of one of the cars and said, "There's Rahul Jood," and started running towards him. Vishal then grabbed, and 2 of them had baseball bats with them. Vishal then grabbed a baseball bat of one of them and smashed a car window to scare them away. So that was his criminality on the 14th of February 2021. A, that he was armed with a weapon, that is a baseball bat, for that short period of time. So I was at that point where I was coming to Vishal's charges. So the charges against Vishal as to that incident were A, being armed with a weapon, that is a baseball bat. So for that short period of time when he had the baseball bat in his hand, that was charge A. The second charge was one of malicious damage, that he broke the window of a car with a baseball bat. So those were the offenses that he was charged with, that he pleaded guilty to, and as to which he was sentenced.
Now, Mr. Singh, one question to the legality of it. Vishal was charged with the possession of a weapon for that brief moment of time, and he was also charged with malicious damage. Now, the baseball bat was not his. The baseball bat was something that the Khalistanis had brought with them. So, were they charged with similar crimes, and were they charged with anything at all? Because they had already assaulted Vishal, they had assaulted Rahul. And even in this incident, they were the ones in possession of the baseball bat, and they were the ones charging to assault Vishal. So, were they charged with anything at all by the Australian police?
They were not charged, and the difficulty was this. There was CCTV footage of Rahul or Vishal with the baseball bat. However, the part of the footage which showed the rest of it was not given to the police. So someone's gone to the shop there which had the CCTV footage, selectively taken out a part of that footage and provided that to the police. So that's the reason why Rahul or Vishal was identified and charged with that other offense. There was no evidence available to the police that could pinpoint the role of these other persons.
So, who do you think did that? Was it the administration? Was it one of the people from the Khalistani mob who you think may have gone and tampered with the footage? Was it the owner of the establishment himself that tampered with it? Who do you think did that?
Well,
Provided collectively.
I don't know who did it. There are a number of shops along that street. The shops have CCTV cameras. As I understand it, a particular individual obtained the footage, edited the footage, and provided the footage to the police.
Was this, was this ever brought up in court? Was there an investigation as to who might have done it? Was there even a consideration that this was not one-sided aggression by Vishal, but he was only defending himself?
Well, unfortunately, the legal process doesn't work that way. The legal prosecution commences when there is evidence. And the only evidence that there was against Vishal.
Would you consider that there was a conspiracy to make sure that this evidence does not reach the court? Because there is clear video footage of these men attacking Vishal. Was that video footage ever provided to the court?
The only footage, as part of the prosecution process, an accused person is provided with a brief of evidence containing all the evidence that is available to the prosecution. So what was provided to us in this case was only the footage, that part of the footage showing the actions of Vishal.
Okay, got it, sir. So was there an angle where they thought, because I was reading some of the material that I have, and in court, you had to prove that the Khalistani movement and the Sikh religion itself are separate, and that the Khalistani movement is a separatist movement and the Sikh religion is a matter of faith. Why do you think that angle was necessary at all? Do you think the court was conflating the two by any chance? Do you think it became more of a matter of racial attack in Australia?
No. That arose because there was a narrative played in the media that Vishal's actions were motivated by an animosity or hatred towards persons of the Sikh faith. What happened then was the New South Wales police requested the DPP to lay a charge under Section 93Z of the Crimes Act. That act makes it an offense for a person to incite violence of a person on the basis of his race, religion, affiliation, etc. Now, the DPP declined to lay that charge. There was insufficient evidence to lay that charge. Now, secondly, there is a section in the Crimes Act, or the Crimes Sentencing Procedure Act, that deals with this issue. If a person is sentenced and his actions are motivated by animosity or hatred or prejudice towards a group of people because of their gender, race, religion, sex, etc., then that is an aggravating factor. A person will receive a greater sentence because of that aggravation. In this case, in Vishal's case, the prosecution argued that this was an aggravated factor. It said that Vishal's actions were motivated by a hatred for the Khalistani movement. I told the court that the Khalistani movement is not a race or a religion. The section simply does not apply to it. Then the prosecution submitted that his actions were motivated by a hatred or animosity towards persons of the Sikh faith. However, I had already presented to the court a number of documents. There were 2 references from 2 of his Sikh friends confirming that they've known him for more than a year, that he's a close friend of theirs, that he has the utmost respect for persons of the Sikh faith. Secondly, I provided a letter from a community leader in Haryana, Vishal state, and that letter, among other things, said that in Vishal's colony, the vast majority of persons, 95 odd percent, are all Sikhs. And Vishal and his family have been living harmoniously with these Sikhs for years. So that simply could not be proved on the evidence that was before the court. And at no time was Vishal sentenced on this basis.
This is very interesting that the prosecution actually went and said that he harbors hate for the Khalistani movement, and that should be a reason to prosecute him. Vishal, I'll come to you. Do you have animosity towards the Khalistani separatist terrorist movement?
Yeah, of course, because they're always like against my country, so that's why. Like in USA, they burn my like country flag, and they try to do like same thing in Australia. So that's why. Like everyone love their country, so
So, how fair do you think was it for the prosecution or these Khalistanis to go say that you should be thrown in jail because you have a problem with a group of people who want to break your country up? Because that's what they were saying. You should be thrown in jail because you hate the Khalistani movement, which is responsible for the murder of thousands and thousands of Hindus when the movement was at its peak, which is responsible for wanting to break the country up. That's essentially what they were saying. Because you don't like the fact that your country should be broken up, you should be thrown in jail.
yeah, like uh, uh, can you repeat your question, please?
Let's start with this. Why? What motivated you to go to the Quaker Hill rally? What was your motivation behind going there? Why did you go there in the first place?
Because I know I'm uh, from the farming family. Like my father is a farmer, and I just went there like with my friends. Like I went there for just for like rendered rally, and I saw like everyone like engaged my PM and my country, and they tried to damage the like Indian flag. So I took that flag and then I stood up on the bench. Uh, and after that they start like the things with me.
So before you went there, you really thought you were going there to just support the farmers. That was your only motivation, to go there and support the farmers. And it was after you went there that you realized that these were probably Khalistani elements.
Yeah, I just went there like just for just farmer rally, but I seen there like they're doing like something else there, like uh, they against like PM of the India, and they start abusing like Indian like Indian flag, everyone. So that's why.
Right. When we come to the incident of 14th February, where you were actually charged with the possession of a weapon, which was a baseball bat that you had snatched from the Khalistanis. It was a
Yeah,
Tiranga rally. And what was the purpose of the Tiranga rally, Vishal?
like that because last time on the 26th of January, uh, like they disrespect like our like country flag in India. So that's why I just for like our country we like organized that Tiranga rally, and after that they stop our rally, but because they said like we're going to attack on the temple, and but we have like every permission from the police and from the NSW government. So like they lie to the like police, and they complain against to our community.
I'm sorry. The Khalistanis allege that the Tiranga rally, the people participating in the Tiranga rally, were going to attack a temple or a gurdwara. What was it? If you could elaborate on that.
They said like we're going to attack on Gurdwara, like Sikh temple.
Oh, so they told the police that you were going to attack, I mean, the rally and the people participating in it. They lied
Yeah,
and said that you were on your way to attack the Gurudwara.
yeah, because they wanna stop our rally. That's why.
Right. And then what was the police's reaction? Did they come and speak to the organizers? Did they ask you what was going on?
They said like you have to go back. You can finish your rally from that part, and you can go to the another way because another community they angry against you, so that's why
Right.
then this.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Vishal. And then?
And then I went at my home with my friends, and some of the people from the Khalistan movement, they went to that finishing part of the rally, and then they start looking for us, and somebody told to that community we are in the Harris Park, so they went there, and they try to they they looking for me there, and then I seen two three guys that came out from the car, and they have like baseball bat and the stick in his hand, and they try to attack on me, and I grabbed that baseball bat from that guy, and I just hit on the car, just for like scare him, and then I run from there.
Did they try and pursue you at all, Vishal? After there was some disturbance. Sorry. Did they try to pursue you, find you further after you hit the car with their baseball bat to scare them away? What did they do? Did they run away or did they come after you again?
Now one of guy he looking for me, but I ran from there, and then the police came, and uh, they said like I hit that guy, and that's it. Then they complain against me. Like,
Right. Were you angry when you heard those slogans? I just want to understand what was going on in your mind, because it's not easy taking on so many people. There has to be some motivating factor, right? It's not easy knowing that these guys are ready to beat you up. They had already done that. They had already assaulted you once, and this was the second time that you were fighting them. It's not easy to take so many people on who are armed with baseball bats and come in groups to attack you, knowing fully well the violent history of the Khalistani movement and the violent reality of Khalistanis. So, were you scared at all when they were charging at you? What was going through your mind?
yeah, firstly I'm scared like on my like first day, because in the prison also they start argument with me on my first day in prison, and same thing going on like every day with me, and and after that I informed to my lawyer like Aminder Singh ji, and then he complained to the governor of the prison, and after that they moved me somewhere.
Wait, what happened in prison, Vishal? Were you
Yeah,
being
what had happened on the first day that he was
right?
there, that he was brought in, he was confronted by a male security guard with a turban and threatened. Vishal did nothing about it. When I spoke to him, he told me about it. Then we lodged a complaint with the jail. The jail investigated the matter. What Vishal had alleged was shown in the CCTV footage, but there was no sound on the footage. So because there was no sound, the jail declined to take the matter further, except for giving the guard a warning. The second thing that happened was that some weeks later, one of the guards called Vishal and said, someone has rung the jail and said that your life is in danger. Do you know anything about it? So Vishal said, no, I don't. So we then again wrote to the jail, pointing out this history and the threat, and asked the jail to investigate how it is that persons knew that Vishal was in this particular jail, and indeed in that particular area, because the phone call specified the particular area of the jail that Vishal was in. Now, the jail, instead of investigating the matter, transferred Vishal to another jail. So that's what happened as to those issues.
So everything that we've discussed so far points towards a certain laxity that was displayed by the Australian authorities in Vishal's case. Whether it's trying to find out, trying to ascertain the aggression that was done from the Khalistanis side. He was the only person charged. The Khalistanis were not charged. The fact that there was a CCTV footage of a guard threatening him, and the sound was not there. And again, when he gets a threat, they move him to a different location instead of investigating where the threat came from. Because these threats can aggravate extremely quickly. Had Vishal not come back to India, one can only imagine how bad the situation could have been. Would you say that there's been a certain kind of laxity, casualness as far as the Australian authorities were concerned in dealing with the threats that were given to Vishal?
Well, I can't make a general comment. I can only state the facts as to each of the particular incidents involving Vishal, and point out that in terms of the Quakers Hill incident, no one has been charged to date.
And neither has anybody been charged with regards to the threats he received while he was in prison. And the guard who threatened him in the first incident still works at the prison, and no action has been taken against him.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Vishal, I'll come back to you in a bit. Mr. Singh, now that we've spoken about the chronology of what really happened, I'd like to go to the circumstances of his release on the 15th of October. What led up to his release? What were the kind of negotiations that you had with the authority and with the prosecutions? If you could shed some light on that. Because the media in India, at least I was following Vishal's case extremely closely. And we had no inkling that there was any sort of negotiations that were going on or that he could be released. In fact, everybody was in the dark. So could you shed some light on what led up to his release, the negotiations that preceded it?
There were no negotiations. He was sentenced to a non-parole period of 6 months. And the practice is that a person is released at the end of his non-parole period. The only reason he would not have been released is if he had committed further offenses or there was some reason why he should be kept in jail longer.
So then we come to the fact that in Indian media, at least, there have been reports that Vishal was deported from Australia because his involvement with these cases. And in my preliminary conversation with you, I am given to understand that that is incorrect and that is not true. So could you shed some light on whether Vishal was deported, whether he's come back of his own free will, and how did his release and him coming back was coordinated, and what was the timeline of the events?
So Vishal had served his sentence by the 15th of October 2021. He was released. He was then interviewed by the Department of Immigration. They asked him whether he wanted a bridging visa or to apply for a permanent visa. He said, no, I wish to return home immediately. He was then given a temporary visa. He He showed that visa at customs, immigration. He caught a flight by himself and came to India. Anyone suggesting that he was deported is lying.
Vishal, I want to ask you. You had the option of getting a permanent visa and living in Australia, and presumably living a more, at least financially comfortable life. What made you come back? Why did you choose to not get a permanent Australian visa, and why did you choose to come back to India immediately?
Because of all that incident, like I'm not feeling safe in Australia, so that's why I choose like and to go back to my country. So that's why, and for my family.
What was your family's reaction, Vishal, when you were there, when this entire thing happened? Were you in touch with your family? Did they know of the sentence? And while you were in prison, were you able to talk to your family at all? What did they say to you?
Like my family, like everyone, like my country, and my community, everyone happy. Like when I came back to India, and they like they celebrate like festival of Diwali. Like
While you were in prison, Vishal, were you allowed to talk to your family back in India? Did you have any communication with them?
yeah, like uh, I make call to my family from the prison, like, but they give us like 10 minutes or something for call. Like
10 minutes every day, weekly? What was the situation like in prison?
what? Sorry?
Did you speak to them every day? Did you speak to them once a week? What was the situation like?
I speak like once a week with my family, like my mom and my dad.
Vishal, what were the circumstances like in prison? So we know that when you enter the prison on day one, you were threatened by a guard. Somewhere in between, you also received a call threatening you, knowing an exact location, which they should not have known where you were in prison, right? But they knew about it. So, how were you treated in prison? What were the circumstances like while you were in prison for so many months?
Like in prison, like sometimes they cancel my visit, and sometimes like they when I order for food, like they cancel my like food order, and sometimes I try to like make call, and they didn't put my like phone money in my phone, so that thing happened with me like every day.
Why, Vishal? Why was that happening? Were these was it the same guard? Was it
Yeah,
Sikh
like
guards who were doing this? White guards who were doing this? Australians? What was the circumstance?
like the I think that that Khalistani person, I think so. Maybe that's why.
So, Mr. Singh, this guard who appears to be a Khalistani, who threatened and assault, tried to intimidate Vishal when he entered prison on day one. Vishal seems to say that he was the one doing a lot of other things while he was in prison. For example, not giving him his call, not making sure that the food didn't reach him on time, on occasion, and other such things. Do you think it was the same guard, and was any complaint raised about the treatment being given to him?
Now, those things can't be proved. I mean, there's no direct evidence of that.
Is there no system to simply raise a complaint or bring it to the authorities' notice based on what Vishal is saying?
Yes,
Given that that you can't have any evidence, it's in their control. So the only evidence you have is Vishal says so.
yes, all the issues that Vishal raised about his lack of access to phone calls, he wasn't allowed to have access to the Indian embassy, etc. They were all raised with the jail and rectified in due course.
Right. I think one of the issues, two issues, in fact, we'll come to the minister's statement a little later. It was Honorable Minister Alex Hawke, I believe. We'll come to that later. but I have some information about the conduct of the media while the trial was on. Um, I had this report that says one Mr. Vivek Kumar Asri. Um, it contained a photo of the court while the proceedings were on, and I believe it was you who had pointed out that it's a criminal offense to take pictures while the proceedings are on. Could you shed some light on what really happened back then?
Yes, there is a website based in Australia which carried a picture of Parramatta Local Court on its website. A journalist from that website was present in court when Vishal was being sentenced. So I informed the learned magistrate that this had been done if my recollection is correct. I provided a copy, a photo of that post to the magistrate. So the magistrate warned this reporter not to take any photos contrary to the law in the court. And it was on that basis that he allowed him to remain in the courtroom.
There was another report that said that Vishal had pleaded guilty to all 10 charges that were brought against him. Was it by the same reporter, sir?
I can't recollect. What had happened was the day before Vishal was to be sentenced, someone had found out that Vishal's matter was listed for sentence. And there were reports emanating from particular portals in Australia and in India, and each of them had the same story, that Vishal has pleaded guilty to everything and that he'll be sentenced tomorrow. And that was a total fabrication.
Do you recall which media websites they were, in India at least?
I can't recall offhand, but I can find them out and I can provide them to you.
Okay. And was it attributed to sources? The
Yes.
fact that, it was attributed to sources that Vishal is planning to plead guilty.
Yes.
How do these media reports really affect a case as sensitive as Vishal's? Because the sensitivity of the matter is not lost on anybody. There were religious connotations given to the case when probably none existed. There were Khalistanis literally baying for his blood. And administration, I know you can't comment on it, but an administration that seemed hell-bent on proving that Vishal was guilty, instead of acknowledging the fact that there were people baying for his blood and he was simply defending himself and his country. So in such sensitive cases, how do these media reports really affect the case, and how do they affect the proceedings that Vishal was involved in?
Well, luckily in this particular case, it had no effect on his sentence. What it did do was it had an effect on his family, because we had informed his family that this is what has happened. We've reached an agreement. There'll be 3 charges. 8 of them will be withdrawn, and he'll be sentenced tomorrow. Then we get phone calls from India saying, "What is this?" The newspapers are saying he's pleading guilty to everything, and his family didn't sleep all night because of those reports.
So they were worried, and I'm guessing that you had a conversation with them and assuaged whatever fears they had. But as a media person, I think it's extremely tragic that these things happen. I'm sorry, I was looking for a video that I had received. It was on TikTok, Vishal. I wanted to speak to you about this. It was on TikTok where people were seen taking your name and threatening you. I'll put that video on the screen later for our audience as well. But just to remind you, it was this video. Can you see it?
ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਤੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੋੜਦੀ ਆ ਵਿਸ਼ਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਲਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਵੀਰੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਾਲ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਲਾ ਲਿਓ ਪਰ ਵਿਸ਼ਾਲ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਨੋਂ ਮਾਰ ਦਿਓ ਜੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਾਲ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ ਜੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਾਲ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਕੱਲੇ ਕੱਲੇ ਦੀ ਭੈਣ ਤੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਂਹ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਲਿਆਊਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਵ ਜੂ ਸੀ ਓਏ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਲਵ ਜੂ ਸੀ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਵੀ ਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ
ਦਿਮਾਗ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੋਣਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਪਤਾ ਆਇਦਾ
ਜਾਓ ਜਾਓ ਭੈਣ ਚੋਦੋ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਲਿਓ ਜਾਓ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਦਾ ਕਾਟਿਓ ਭੈਣ ਚੋਦੋ ਇਹ ਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਭੈਣ ਦੀ ਲੰਨ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ ਪ੍ਰਾਹੁਣੇ ਦਾ ਡੱਬ ਚੈਂਸ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਦੋਂ ਮਰਜੀ
ਬਾਗੀ ਪੁੱਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਗੇ ਬਾਗੀ ਪੁੱਤ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਆ
Can you explain what this video was, Vishal? Have you seen this video at all where people are threatening you?
Like somebody sent me on my WhatsApp, like somebody say like who gonna kill like Vishal, so we will pay that guy like 5 lakh rupees in India, like too many videos of like that.
There are a lot of Khalistanis who are putting a bounty on your head, it seems. At least it's clear from this video. Are they saying that they're going to pay the people who hurt you and get to you first because you defend India and you were against Khalistanis? Are there more videos like this? Are you aware of more videos like this?
Yeah, too many video I gave to the Indian police. So they said like we like investigation on that videos. Like
Vishal, have you met anybody from the Indian government, either the state government or the central government? Has there been any meeting?
Yeah, like yesterday, day before, I met to the central minister of Haryana, like Manohar Lal Khattar. So he said like we will provide you like security and like we will announce you like for the bravery award.
You certainly deserve a bravery award. I'd say that. Have you got any sort of security yet? It's just been 2 or 3 days that you've come back, I presume. But given the nature of these videos, have you been provided any security?
Nah, I'm still waiting for like my father talked with like superintendent of police, but they said like because of that holiday today, so that's why maybe tomorrow in the morning.
Your father is a superintendent of police. He's an SP.
My father speak with
Sorry?
my father speak with the superintendent of police.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay, got it. So you haven't got security yet, and the hope is that in a couple of days you will be provided security, right?
yes, miss.
Yeah. What was your conversation with the chief minister? If you could tell us something.
He said like thanks for like everything, and you done like everything for your like tricolor and for your country people, and they said congrats for everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Vishal, I have one question for you. You've gone through a terrible time just because you stood up for your country. You were assaulted, you were threatened multiple times, not just by Khalistanis outside, but even in prison. You were denied some basic rights during your stay in prison because there was one Khalistani police officer who wanted to make sure that you have a hard time in prison. Far more difficult time than the rest of the people who were there. After that, you came back to India. So it was a terrible time for you, the last 1 year. But Would you do it again if you had to do it? Would you stay away from that rally? If you had to do it again, would you do it again?
If I will get chance in future, like do something for my country, I will like always ready for that because I love my country. So
Do you regret going to that rally? Do you regret standing up to those Khalistanis? Do you regret any of it? Because you ended up spending time in jail, and those people are walking around free without any penalty that has been imposed on them. So, do you regret it at all, ever?
yeah, because I done everything for my country, so that's nothing for that.
Thank you, Vishal. The last question that I have, Mr. Singh, is about the comments by Minister Alex Hawke. He's the Minister of Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services, and Multicultural Affairs. What was his comment, sir, and how relevant is that comment to everything that has transpired?
The minister made quite a clever statement. He didn't name Vishal in his statement. He said that there was a man who was an unlawful non-citizen at the time of his arrest, which is correct, that the government assisted to depart from Australia. He said the government takes criminal conduct very seriously, nothing wrong with that. And it said further, attempts to undermine Australia's social cohesion will not be tolerated. Finally, he says that he was pleased that this unfortunate event has seen our resilient local Hindu and Sikh communities unite. Now, he says nothing about deportation, does he? So what he does is he puts these words together without naming Vishal, and then he posts a link from a private news portal, an article quoting his statement, and he releases it on Twitter. Then what happens is that certain news portals start running this narrative. Vishal was deported. So let me address the deported bit. Now, we live in a civilized democracy. It's not a case that a minister can take someone's passport, stamp it deported, and send him on the next plane home. It doesn't work that way. If you want to deport someone, you have to give him notice. You have to give him procedural fairness. You have to give him the opportunity to seek redress in the legal system. Only then can you be deported. Now, a person can be deported. If a person's on a visa, he commits a serious criminal offense, he can be deported on that ground that he's committed a serious criminal offense. He's no longer a person of good character. We intend to deport him. He's given notice and the process follows. Nothing of that sort happened with Vishal. So the other thing the minister failed to mention was the issue about the basis on which Vishal had been sentenced. Now you notice he just makes these broad general comments about the Sikhs and Hindus and social cohesion. So he's inviting people to join the dots, and that's what they do. And there is this narrative that Vishal was A, deported, and B, he was dealt with on the basis of his animosity towards Sikhs. And that did not happen. So any news portal running these two stories is either deliberately lying or there's a level of incompetence. Because I don't know how it works in India, but in Australia, if a news portal runs a story, they verify it. if they allege a person has been deported, they should have a copy of the deportation order or an official statement from the government. Secondly, if they allege a very serious allegation that a person has been dealt with on the basis of his animosity towards a particular religion, no doubt they have a copy of the court transcript, the record which states that. They have none of this, yet I see site after site running this narrative. Now, Vishal can well take legal action against each of these sites. And let me tell you, we have the expertise and the resources to do that if we have to. At the moment, we have different priorities.
For the people listening, I think Mr. Singh is being the quintessential lawyer and not naming the portals, and I respect that. But I, being a journalist myself, have no such compunction. So I'm going to name them. NDTV headline says, Haryana man jailed in Australia for attacking Sikhs, deported. Daily Mail says, Indian immigrant Vishal Jood receives hero's welcome as he's deported home after stint in jail. The Quint reads, Indian man deported from Australia over assaulting Sikhs, welcomed in Haryana. You see how carefully they're planting the narrative that Vishal Jood attacked Sikhs. Not that he attacked Khalistanis, not that he attacked people who are insulting the Indian flag, not that he attacked people who are attacking him, not that he defended himself, but over attacking Sikhs. ABP, same headline, scroll, Indian deported for alleged hate crimes in Australia receives grand welcome in Haryana. In one broad brush, they've painted Vishal as an anti-Sikh hate monger, and they've painted Haryana as an entire state as somebody who would celebrate a hate attack. And the list goes on. Times of India, Karnal welcomes Vishal Jood, who was deported. It's everywhere, sir. Almost every media outlet in India has peddled the same narrative. A, that Vishal attacked Sikhs. B, that he was deported. And C, that it was a hate crime. None of these websites have actually written about the circumstances of the case. So would you consider ever, either now or in the future, taking any sort of legal action against these portals, especially the ones in India?
Yes, it's open to Vishal to take that action, but as I said, there are other priorities at the moment. We've got the Quakers Hill issue, which we are dealing with at the moment, and that's our first priority.
Vishal, question to you. Did any media organization from India reach out to you for a comment? आपसे किसी ने भी बात करने की कोशिश की कि हुआ क्या था? What really happened?
Yeah, like just a few channels like Punjab Kesari or like local channels. They asked me about my incident.
None of these national channels or websites जो ये लिख रहे हैं, whether it's NDTV, Quint, Times of India, none of them try to reach out to you, Wire, etc.
No one. Yeah.
So just on the basis of rumors, they've written all this rubbish about you. Does it make you angry at all? If you had to give one message to Indian media, these kind of media portals that are saying that it was a hate attack, or that you attacked Sikhs and not Khalistanis, or that you were deported, do you have any message for these media channels that are spreading lies in your name?
Like honestly, I say like I don't care about that channels. Like, and I will try to take like some legal action on that channel because it's all about my like privacy and everything. Like that's why.
Vishal, what were you doing in Australia? Were you working? And what do you plan to do in India? That's my last question to you. What are your plans in India? Do you plan to study? Do you plan to work? What are your plans?
I wanna do like a diploma in in fitness diploma, and after that I'll get married soon. So That's it.
Great. I hope that you get your diploma and you get married soon, because just like the entire country is celebrating you coming back, I'm sure we'll celebrate you moving on with your life as well after everything that has happened in the past few months. It can't be easy. Did it take a emotional toll on you? Are you okay emotionally, mentally? Have you moved on from everything that happened?
Yeah, I'm happy now. Like I'm happy with my family. Everyone happy here.
Great. Mr. Singh, last question to you. What is the current status of any of the cases against Vishal? In which cases have been closed? Which cases are pending? What is the status and what is the way forward for him?
There are no cases pending against him. As I said, all matters have been finalized. The only matter remaining is the incident at the Quakers Hill farmers rally. If police don't charge anyone, of course, we have the option of commencing a private prosecution, and if we have to, we'll take that course.
So Vishal Jood is a free man with no pending cases, and you reserve the right to take action against the media that is spreading lies, and second, against the people who assaulted him at Quaker Hill. Did I get that right, sir?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for being so forthcoming. I really appreciate your time. Vishal, congratulations. And I think every Indian, at least every Indian in their right mind, is celebrating what you did in Australia and celebrating the fact that you're back here now, home with us. And we wish you all the best. And for anything at all, we are always around for anything you need. And I hope you get protection soon, Vishal, because these videos are extremely scary. And please stay safe. And thank you so
Thank
much for talking to us. Thank you.
you.